Good afternoon, Muskegon. Hey, technical stuff. We are so sorry on my end. We don't know. Let's get right to the show. September 22nd. It's Suicide Prevention Week. Listen, we're covering the elections for Muskegon Heights. Let's get right to it. My guest is Mr. Dari Hines. Welcome, Mr. Dari Hines, to the show.
Hey, man, how you doing?
I am freaking out because the equipment, you plug it in like you do every week and nothing. But
Right.
hey, let's get to you right away.
Yeah.
Mr. Dari, Mr. Hines, tell people a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Dari Hines. I was born and raised here in Muskegon. Born in Muskegon at Hackley and raised here in the Heights. Spent all my years in school there, elementary, junior high, high school, graduated there. By the time I was 23, I was a full-time firefighter in the city of Muskegon Heights. We ate some of the same smoke together,
Yep.
me and Eugene, man, and did that for almost 20 years. And then after that, became a correction officer for the state of Michigan out here at the prison. So the last 26 years of my life, I've been an officer in some capacity. So now I'm willing, ready, and able to devote my time and service to the city of Muskegon Heights and its people, yet again, my people, for city council. I can bring some fresh ideas and help the city get back to where it once was and move us forward into the future.
Let me say this, because of the weird thing that happened, we will have you back on the show, so you will have, we believe in giving people equal time. So
Yes, sir.
know that we will have you on again, okay?
Not a problem.
All right.
Not a problem.
You said bringing new ideas to,
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you feel that need to happen in Muskegon Heights?
Well, it's about reconnecting, first and foremost, reconnecting with our citizens and getting everybody back to that feel that everybody was close when we was growing up, late 70s, early 80s, and 90s for myself. Mainly the late 80s and early 90s, but everybody was close back then.
Right.
We could go to all the parks and hang out. That's just one aspect of it. I will be reaching out to the citizens to get us all to come back together and have more community events and things planned so that we incorporate everybody, our senior citizens, our middle age, and our youth, so that we can bring
Right.
us all together in all parts of the city, north, south, east, and west. That is one thing. And I would hope that I could bring to the city new ideas and enhance on existing ideas as far as industrial growth, commercial growth, and residential growth. That being said, things that we're doing right in the city and good in the city, continue with that and support that. And then reach out to the different agencies and organizations and secure funds and reestablish old relationships and establish new relationships with different agencies and organizations so that we can get this going and get the growth, get it back going, and we can return Muskegon Heights to what it used to be and move it forward and into the future so that we can compete with everybody else that's surrounding us, and we can enhance Muskegon County with our own little thing that we are contributing.
How do you turn the stereotypes that people have about Muskegon Heights? We know it's a great city.
Yeah.
We know that it's a city like everybody else
Yeah.
with, streets and all kinds of stuff, and
Yes.
a little pockets of crime. And how do we change that stereotype?
Well, by acting and making sure that the truth is always out there. When you present people with the facts as it is, not skewed, not with any other agenda, but just presenting the truth and get the truth out there. I think everyone learns from it, as well as doing our part to make sure that the policing and the city stays safe by, as you can see, we're hiring more and more officers. So we're on the rebound. We just need more of that, and we need more support. We need more agencies to come in and to help us out so that we can help ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm traveling, doing my normal shopping. Of course, I got to
Yes.
stop at Scott Beats. But if you look downtown Muskegon Heights, you do have vacant buildings and stuff like that. I talked to somebody from the city of Muskegon, and they said this one time that the person that barks the loudest in Lansing gets the more dollars.
Yes.
How do we get more dollars in Muskegon Heights to help fund roads, new businesses, and develop a better tax base?
Yes. Well, that comes with lobbying. Lobbying for the city of Muskegon Heights.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, letting the county and Lansing, the state, and the federal government. We have to be connected to all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, primarily, when we lobby for our own city, we have to say what our obstacles are, what our goals are, and what we can do to help, in addition to what they can do to help us.
Okay.
And that together, moving along, because there's funding for pretty much everything that you can ask for. There's funding out there. You just have to have the right people that know how to ask for it with the right attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get that, through that, any and everything can happen.
Right. So you talk about we need to return back to the community.
Oh yes.
We gotta return that the tribe.
Yes.
Where everybody knew everybody.
Yes.
We need to get that sense back in Muskegon Heights.
Yes. We absolutely do. Growing up, I could walk anywhere in Heights, whether I rode my bike or walked, and I felt safe. I felt like nothing was going to happen to me. That, of course, as time has gone by, we've had crime increases and everything else, just like everybody else. But
right.
I think the more that we come together, and the more that we come together as a community and establish the fact that we won't continue to let any bad element exist and thrive here,
Mm-hmm.
that's when people start to feel safe. Because like you and I both know, people ride through the Heights. People
right.
from every community that's not living in the Heights, they ride through the Heights. The whole point is to get them to stop in the Heights and spend $1.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to get back to that point, because Peck and Broadway, that used to be the place to go. It was downtown Muskegon Heights.
Right. It was thriving.
Yes, it was thriving. So, and that's the point that we need to get back. That's commercially, exchanging, commerce. Just like when you go downtown Muskegon, you can walk up and down Western Ave and get whatever you're looking for, whether it's good food, bars, entertainment, doesn't matter. Leisure, exercise, doesn't matter. That's what we need to return the Heights to, when you can walk up and down Peck and Broadway, Sherman, Hackler, it doesn't matter. And so that takes effort and it takes hard work, which I know that I'm up against, and it takes having the right attitude and the right frame of mind, and being humble enough to ask for help and ask for the right help from the right people. And like I say, reestablishing those relationships that have been broken, and look forward to establishing new relationships with people that are not from this community as well as within. And that's when you see monies coming in from like your nonprofit organizations, when we have all these programs that are moving to help the community, to help equity and inclusion for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Now you served as a firefighter, like you said, Muskegon Heights.
Yes.
You lived there all your life, pretty much.
Yes.
So you have a vested interest. Talk about being vested. I mean, you're not somebody that moved, into the Heights.
Yes,
You are a son, a native of the Heights.
yes,
Talk a
yes.
little bit about that.
Well, like I said, growing up, it was, of course, one city, but every neighborhood had its own grocery store and candy store. We had grocery stores, the big grocery store, which was Plums,
Right,
and all the parks that we have. We have uh, between Rowan Park, Johnny O'Hara's, Motor Lake Park, A Street Park, King Park, Ray Street, and the latest one on Summit and Walks. We had parks that we could go to and primarily play basketball and baseball when I was growing up. And so there was always some place to go in your immediate vicinity. You always had a corner store that you could go to, and it was just fun being in and around. So very rarely did I have to venture out of the Heights growing up. We had everything actually in this city that provided all the entertainment that I needed. So I would love to see us go back to that, and it is attainable. Um, Feeling how I felt growing up in this small community, I didn't know what hardship was or problems or anything like that. So I would love to see us return to that. Muskegon Heights, city of friendly people.
of friendly people.
Yes,
Dari,
yes,
explain and talk to people right now. Here's your chance to get that shameless plug. Why should they vote for you?
great. On November 7th, you should come out and you should vote for me, Dari Hines, as city councilman, because I will be, first of all, giving my heart and soul to serving the people of this great city, making sure that the city business is run correctly, that everybody is doing what they need to be doing, and we can move this city back forward. We can cause this city to grow industrial wise, commercially, and residentially, and return it to the city of friendly people like I grew up in.
All right. Now, if somebody wants to write that big fat check to Darius' campaign, what do they need to do and how do they get in touch with you?
You can write it to myself, Dari Hines, and I'm located. You can contact me on Facebook. Uh, it's just my name, Dari Hines, and um, my address, 3328 Peck Street. I live right here in Muskegon Heights at the end of Peck Street on the south end. And contact me, and you see me, reach out to me. When you see me at City Hall, when you see me walking down the street in Myers, feel free to stop me and talk to me. I'm real approachable.
Right. Dari, you get the last word.
Hey man, I want everybody to be safe out here. I know we talk about many. I've been on your show before where we talked about Second Amendment rights and everything like that, and I'm an advocate.
Right.
So I love for people to intermingle, and I love to see everybody having a good time. And when you see me out in public, like I say, feel free to come up and approach me and talk to me and offer me your ideas because it's your ideas when I'm elected that I will be carrying forward as well as my own for the betterment of City of Muskegon Heights.
Let me throw this last thing at you.
Yes,
The Juneteenth celebration, the camping celebration at Mona Lake,
yes, yes,
all those things that have been happening have
yes.
shown people that activities can happen in Muskegon Heights. Talk about that a little bit.
Oh man, that when I see stuff like that happening, I was just talking to a few of the brothers the other day. Uh, a few weeks ago, they had a night out. I have to be careful not to say a camping night out because we don't have an official campground here in the Heights. But the night that they spent at Mona Lake with the young boys out there teaching them how to fish, and they stayed up all night and watching movies. I wasn't able to attend it, but it went off very well, and that was an idea that I had discussed with a few guys, and so I'm glad that current council member and Mayor Pro Tem Ronald Jenkins had a chance to pull that off. He got to work when he heard about the idea, and he pulled it off. So kudos to him. I want to give credit where credit is due. He pulled that off down there, and there's more to come as far as us gathering at all the parks. I have plans on us doing something at every major park that we have, so every part of the city uh, feels like they are included instead of excluded, because not everybody can make it down to Mona Lake for everything that we do. And that's why so many things happen at Rowan Park. It's centrally located. We don't have to have little kids always crossing the highway and stuff like that
Mhm.
at Seaway Drive. And we have ample. We have A Street Park. Like I said, we have King Park. Um, we have Rowan Park. We have Johnny O'Hara's. So I would love to see more and more things. We can't have too many of that.
Right.
Spring, summer, and fall. Let's get together and let's stay together and do what we can.
Mr. Hines, thank you so much. We'll have you back on the show to talk about it. I am so
Anytime,
sorry.
anytime.
I just can't, hey man, equipment break.
It's
So anyway,
technology.
technology, who knew? All right.
Yeah,
So Mr. Hines, thank you very much. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.
you as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's Mr. Hines. We're gonna go right next into the interview with Darius Mitchell, if he is there. Mr. Mitchell, how you doing, sir?
How about I'm okay. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Listen, I'm sorry we're running late
That's okay.
today. Again, what I said to Mr. Hines is I said the same thing with you. Um, we like to give everybody equal time. Let me say this real quick, and then we get into the interview with you.
Okay.
My co-host, um, Pastor Melvin Burns, is the acting city manager.
Okay.
Will not be in these interviews. He will not be in
Okay.
these interviews because we like to have a straight line. We don't want to think there's any favoritism. So
Understood.
let me make sure I say that if people will ask why he is not on these interviews. Now, Mr. Mitchell, tell the fan base out there a little bit about yourself.
Well, again, thank you for having me. I am, again, my name is Darius Mitchell, born and raised native son and graduate of Muskegon Heights High School. Currently, I am the minority owner and chief operating officer or Shoreline Staffing. So shout out to my majority partner, Will Roberson.
Mhm.
So right now, that's what I'm doing. Also, right now, starting this year, I am a teacher at Muskegon Heights. So I just left school to be able to participate in this interview. So I want to tell my students what's up, the ones that are watching online, that Mr. Mitchell left school to go do what he said he was going to do. Outside of that, right now, I serve on the board of directors for Hackley Community Care. I am also the vice chair for the Muskegon Young Black Professionals, also the vice chair of the Muskegon County Democratic Black Caucus, amongst other things. And the reason that I'm running for city council is because I want to take an active role in shaping the future of the city and process, excuse me, in the process of moving it forward. And hopefully I can inspire others to do the same. Myself, I'm a very boots on the ground type of person. So being upfront as a leader is very important to me. It's always going to be servant leadership. I'm here to build bridges and to foster change. And so in that, I want to add to the legacy of Muskegon Heights.
What are some of the things you said boots on the ground? What is like number one, number two? What are some of your priorities for Muskegon Heights?
Absolutely. Great question. So one thing is education. So as I stated this year, I was approached by the school. We didn't have any representation at the school for our minority students, more importantly, our Black students. So when the call came in that we needed some teachers, specifically some Black teachers, I answered the bell. So education is something first and foremost. In order for the municipality to do well, the school system needs to do well. And in order for the school system to do well, we need the municipality to do well. So I want to build a bridge there. Also, infrastructure. Infrastructure, when people think about that, they think about the roads, thing of that nature. But my vision is broader. So in that infrastructure, we also need to figure out how can we get more water customers for our new system. That's going to add to our tax base and to our budget there. Also, housing. I've served as the director of housing and workforce development for the Urban League of West Michigan. So I understand what needs to happen with housing. So I wanted to bring my expertise there. In order to attract new people to help with that tax base, we have to have people paying property taxes, but we can't do that if we don't have home ownership. Also, the economy. Again, I work for Shoreline Staffing, so I understand workforce development. When we need people hired, we need them to be paying taxes, which again will help them to purchase homes. So the economy is very important to me. How do we create jobs? How do we articulate or upskill the jobs that we have? And how do we make these jobs available to the people in the community that need them? And last but not least, public safety. We know that budgeting is an issue and we don't have as many cops as we should. And Chief Sane and the crew have been doing a great job there. But as someone who has experience in grant writing, I want to see what programs are out there so that we can subsidize our budget with some of that free money that's out there to help close some of those gaps and those disparities. So those would be my focuses if I am elected to city council.
Boy, you said a mouthful, so let's break it down a little bit.
Okay.
I like to ask everybody the same question. I was talking to somebody that represented the city of Muskegon, and they've got a lot of tax dollars, and they said the dog that barks the loudest gets the money. How do we get the money allocated towards Muskegon Heights?
Well, I think that, and that's a great question again, but I think what it's about is actually being in the room and understanding the mechanisms and when those wheels turn to get the money. And so I think that's the first thing, representation in the rooms. That's something, and I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else, but that is something that I will bring to the table because I serve on various boards when these conversations, are having. And I have a great relationship with other city leaders for other municipalities. So there's no need to recreate the wheel. When I'm in those rooms, I ask those direct questions of how does this happen? Or how can we be eligible for these things? So for me, what I would do is leverage those relationships and the spaces that I'm giving to understand what is the criteria for those grants or for that free money? What are the stipulations? How do we apply for those things? And then being smart enough to know that I don't know everything. So no matter how educated I am, I need to be able to listen and to, again, benchmark or to get with other people who have already been doing those things and doing those things well, and just asking them because of the relationships we already have, how do we do those things? And if we continue to completely isolate ourselves in Muskegon Heights and not be open to any other type of help, then it's going to be bleak and dire because just by nature, no one knows everything. So I think representation in that room or those rooms where those decisions are made is going to be vital. And we need someone who's going to be able to hit the ground running with those relationships. And that's something uniquely that I can bring to the table.
Now, like I'm shopping today at Scott Meats, going through the Heights. How do we get rid of the stereotypes of what people think about the Heights? Because it's the city of great people, friendly people.
Absolutely.
How do we get rid of that stigma?
Well, I think one part of it too, it has to be forward facing. And what I mean by that, it has to show in our leadership. We have to have confidence in our leadership. When other people see that, if you will, for lack of a better terms, we're not jiving well with our leadership and it's an internal struggle, then that prevents people or makes them, apprehensive to come work for us or work with us, because if we can't even get our business together internally, then what does it benefit them to try to come bring our resources to be able to help if we're going to just continue to mismanage them? So I think first it has to be forward facing. We have to have an inspired vision that everyone gets behind. And that's something that's coming from corporate America. So it has to be top down. So we have to have leadership that's going to inspire a vision of hope and transparency. Importantly, when decisions are made, you can't be in the back of a room with the three people. And I'm not taking a shot at anyone. I'm just talking about old politics. That's what often happens. A few people make the decisions and they speak for the many. Well, I think that first off, again, we have to have that leadership. spawn the vision, excuse me, but I think the people will get behind that and support that if they're included. The people don't feel a vested interest, in my opinion, from talking to them a lot because they're not a part of the decision-making process. And we're elected or being put in these positions to represent the people. And I think that is important. We have to have a change in behavior, and we kind of have to have a stopgap. We have to have a point where we said, at this point, we stopped. We decided to do something different, and then moving different. We have to be consistent in those motions or those behaviors and those actions and those policies that will allow people to say that this is something different, and I'll give this a chance, because we're going to have to ask people to extend us some trust because we haven't earned it. So we're going to ask them to extend us some trust first. And if we do right by that, then hopefully that multiplies. And in that, naturally, the optics or the thought of Muskegon Heights will change, because we will see difference in our leadership, which will spawn a difference in the people or the citizens that the leadership is serving. And then the citizens will speak well or begin to speak well of their leadership, which is a great thing because they'll feel vested in that the leadership is representing them, but they've gotten their say so. So until those things happen, I think we're going to see more of the same, unfortunately.
The first candidate talked about a little bit that, there used to be a plums. Okay, we have a question. Michael Anthony Smith from Houston, Texas. What's your ideas for revenue generating ideas for the city?
Well, one thing for me that I've been researching is called municipality funded or owned businesses. And this is something that in other municipalities like ours that are smaller, that has been disenfranchised, when the municipality has funds, what they do is they help spawn economic growth by becoming business partners, if you will, with different business interests that come to the city. So for example, if you wanted to open a coffee shop, well, then what the municipality could do in that space is, because it's the municipality that can help remove some of the red tape, but they can also become an investor into your business. So hypothetically speaking, let's say that the municipality takes some of ARPA money and they invest in your project. Well, you keep 80% and we keep 20%. Now the municipality has a business structure and an investment that can continue to subsidize our economy, because we know that the tax base is always going to go up and down because people are going to move in and out. We know what the census does. So we can't just count on the tax base or people paying property taxes for that. So municipality owned businesses is a way that is very legal, that we can subsidize our own budget in that space. I also think that in that, something that I heard Mr. Hines talk about, we don't have a grocery store now. And so a lot of the municipalities, what they're doing is they're buying into these franchises and starting the grocery stores, and they're municipality owned. So not only do you have a grocery store, which is a great sign for economic growth, but you're also having people that are paying taxes, you're creating jobs, and that revenue from the actual business goes to the city. So a lot of the things that we have issues with, something like that will help touch all of those different entities or fingers. And I think that's what we have to do. And those are realistic things. Those aren't pipe dreams. Those are things that we can look at the funding, and we have space to have grocery stores or to invest in other businesses to help create some subsidized income for ourselves.
And I think people don't understand just the idea just of having a grocery store, access to healthy foods in your community, yes, how important that is, and that you don't have to go out of your community to get those healthy vegetables and food and meats and stuff like that.
I agree. And they took Plums was an institution, if you will. I'm 44 years old, and I remember Plums very vividly, and what that meant, and just not only just the commerce, but just a landmark in that space. And for myself, just to directly answer to your question, being on the board of directors for Hackley Community Care, that's something that we talk about a lot. Like, how can we get fresh vegetables and nutritious food to the community, and that grocery store will help serve, to that end. I have conversations with Mr. Michael Weeses, who's the CEO of Hackley Community Care, and he's very vested in that. So what I've been doing is helping bridging gaps, been connecting him to pastors to see, because I know some of them do food trucks, things of that nature. So I've been connecting him to those pastors so they can have conversation, because he doesn't want anything in return. Hackley Community Care serves this community. He wants to be a very great community partner and advocate. And so those conversations are already happening. So if I'm on city council or not, I understand what this community is lacking, because I come from here and I listen. And so whatever I can do in that space to help bridge those gaps, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And helping providing fresh meals and great health care to this community are two pivotal things that we need to address.
Now, there's one thing that you talked about a little bit. I think we need to go back to readdress, is that, like, and the first candidate talked about a little bit about downtown Heights used to be booming. Every building is filled.
Yep.
There was excitement. We have the opposite of that. How do we change that?
Well, I think first, again, I'm a dreamer. That's the first thing. As a leader, you have to be able to inspire a vision. And so when I have a dream and I look at, downtown Muskegon Heights, or more importantly, that whole, Broadway, corridor, we have a lot of shops that are just sitting there, be it that no one's done anything with them, or on the other side of it, people are holding on to those buildings for whatever reason. So I'm not here to discuss that, but I know that, people own property in that space and it's not necessarily being developed. So I think that first, when you inspire that vision of what it could be, I think it has to be a community vision. It can't just be from the municipality. It can't just be from the business interest side of things. And it can't just be from the people. That's why I think it's very important for us to come together and have things like other municipalities have: town hall meetings, focus groups, not focus groups that are based on someone who's just going to be there to say yes to everything that you want to do, per se. And again, I'm not taking a shot. I'm just talking about overall politics. We need diversity in those rooms for people to bring up different ideas. And more importantly, we need to have people that come in that have expertise in those things, so we can carry the baton. But if we're being honest, sir, that's not something that we really know a lot about. So we need to bring in consultants from areas that have dealt with unique situations like ours, and then in that they can show us what is possible, and not, again, 2 or 3 people. We need to let the community see this and let them weigh on in that. And I think what I talked about, the economic development and with the municipality owned businesses, if the municipality works in a capacity to not necessarily take away or make it hard for people to be entrepreneurs, but to assist them, then that's almost like an olive branch, because there's contention between the municipality and the leaders and the people that they serve, because the people that they serve don't feel like their voices are being heard. So we need them in a room to inspire that vision, and then come together, then promote economic growth by seeing who has businesses. We have a lot of people who do pitch competitions. We have a lot of small business owners who do great things all on their own. So what can we do to help them get a brick and mortar or something to that effect, or some type of incubation space, so everyone can come together and that we can get some taxes, some tax dollars, and also some economic growth for those other entities. That's what needs to happen. It has to be something that we help each other.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back. There are some questions there. Let's go back. Ms. Taylor, does the Heights still have a farmer's market on Saturdays?
I'm not sure that it's on Saturdays. I know that they have been bringing it back. They have been, struggling with that to get the participation, given that most people go down to Muskegon Heights. But it does happen from time to time. I am not sure if it is consistent at this point.
Benita, hello. She says, what can you offer or add to the what is the word? Continuity and unity if elected to council. Sorry.
It's okay.
Need glasses.
It's all right. Well, I think, for one, that I can bring a positive attitude and some youth. I'm young enough where not only do I have visions, or I can help in the planning, I have the legs and the energy to help move things forward in some of the initiatives, and again, carrying that legacy forward. So as far as my skill set, I think we need someone who understands business. Before I became a entrepreneur and a business owner, I worked in corporate America, and I worked in operations. So I understand budgets. I understand how process improvement and how you do those things. I am a black belt in lean manufacturing and continuous improvement. I have certifications in project management, conflict resolution, things of that nature. And that's what we need. Our charter hasn't been updated in quite some time. And if you don't have the charter updated, then your governance is outdated. And so that's something that we need right there. And that's something that I can directly help with, because again, I have certifications in process improvement. And that's what we need to do. We need to improve our process. That's going to help us have better from how the city runs. The conflict resolution, we need to have someone who can work with other people and understands that conflict resolution, that, hey, we can disagree, but we don't have to chop each other's heads off in that space. Or we don't have a grant writer. That's something, again, that I'll be completing before the actual November 7th election. So I will be able to help in that space because I have access to those grants. And then also they'll have somebody on the team that they don't have to pay another salary to, because I believe that if you're on the city council, you should use your talents to the position. That's what should be expected of you. So I plan on using all of my talents in that space. And I was the director of housing, and I'm a certified HUD counselor, so I can help individuals in that space as well.
Let's get back to those questions. How would you advocate for transparency in the city budget? Then Vines.
Yep. Well, for me, in that, the first thing is to look at the policies that we have, if we have anything that is not allowing us to share information. So let's look at it first, and let's look at what the model that we have for sharing information. Now, if there is something, then how do we improve on it, or how do we just use it consistently? If there isn't a model for that, then we need to have something put into place. So for example, when we're at these city council meetings, that if that's something that's a hot topic, we should have a segment of finance that should never be taken off of the agenda, and that we openly talk about where we are, because already they're telling us that a lot of those debt triggers and things of that nature that are coming, given past administrations and past policies, are going to hit us in the next few years, and we don't have adequate resources to cover them. So if that be the case, we need to start showing that now, versus later on we put out some kind of communication saying that the city isn't doing well, and then asking for raising taxes, or just saying that some things are going to go from the wayside. So it needs to be something dedicated, that every time we meet to the public, we need to have some type of space there that we're going to talk about with graphs and things of that nature, not just words. People need to see graphs and things of that nature to see exactly where we are and explain, because some of this jargon it is a little touchy and it is a little highbrow. So we need to be able to bring that down to the level so the citizens can understand it.
It's 2:55. Last question. Why should people vote for you? And listen, I know we got a ton of questions. It's only fair that we have these two guys back because of the technology problems that we had. So we're going to have you back if that's okay, Mr.
Absolutely.
Okay. Why should people vote for you?
I feel that people should vote for me because I am deeply committed to our city and its residents. I believe that my experience, education, and vision make me an ideal candidate to be a city council member. I fundamentally believe that with the right leadership, that what we can do is take the legacy that we have from Muskegon Heights, transform that into a new model that respects our past legacy, but also leaves space for evolution and growth. On top of that, they should vote for me because I'm here representing a very important segment that doesn't get a lot of representation, and that's our youth. A lot of times the youth don't get heard. And for myself, even though I'm the first generation millennial, I still understand them. I come from them. And it's about representation. Again, we didn't have any Black male teachers at Muskegon Heights. And so I answered the call because it's about modeling the behavior. I want to show other young Black professionals that it's our time to be involved, that our foremothers and forefathers have taught us and endowed us with these things, because now it's our turn to take the lead, not to push them out the way, to take those legacies, transform them and to push it forward and to make it better and add on to what they already have started. And so that's why I think on November 7th that they should give a vote for Darius Mitchell.
If they want to donate to your campaign, see you, how can they get in touch with you?
They can reach me on Facebook. My name is Darius Mitchell on Facebook, nothing fancy there. Feel free to reach out to me there, or they can reach out to me at the committee to elect Darius Mitchell at gmail.com. My phone number is 231-903-8275. So for those people who have some questions, if they want to call me and to invite me to some forums to be able to further articulate and answer those questions, I would be happy to stand in front of them and tell them what I know.
Our apologies go out. We will have you back. Thank you so much, Mr. Mitchell.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. So let me tell you something and explain something. There is no excuse for having bad shows, but things happen. Technology happen. We do sound checks. We do everything to make sure that everything works. And guess what? We did it, and it didn't work. But that's no excuse. I take full blame for it. We will not accept that. Let that be clear. This radio station thrives. We're the only one that does election coverage. We're the only one that brings you the news. You deserve to hear that, and it just needs to be done professionally. Now, with that said, it's the weekend. Hey, take a deep breath and sigh. Things happen. Go out and listen. Sow a seed in somebody's life. I want to say this to the people that, especially the new people that are running for office. Thank you, because we need new blood, new people running with new ideas to come into the city, the county, the state, and this country if we're going to change things. So thank you. Kudos. We're going to be talking to everybody that are willing to come and talk to us and be on this program. But we're going to make sure that it's done right. So to Dari and Mr. Mitchell, you guys get back on the show on us because it's only fair. And everybody else, we want to hear from you. Listen, I'm Gregory T. Roberts. You take care. God bless. We'll see you next week on Torn in Two.